We're set for a Friday matinee of Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports. It's the Hyundai leadoff man as we get you set for the Cubs hosting the New York Mets. It's game one of a 3-game weekend series. Great to have you with us. Alongside Jim DeShays, I'm Len Casper. The Cubs off yesterday after winning 2 of 3 against the Rockies. The Mets have struggled. They've lost 6 of 7, so this is a chance for the Cubs to get back near 500.
Winning on Wednesday, the Cubs winning that series. So they've won 2 series in a row for the first time all year. And as you mentioned, the Mets, despite winning yesterday, they have been scuffling. They had dropped 6 consecutive games before beating St. Louis yesterday. Yeah, so a chance to keep it rolling here.
And Matt Garza hopefully will be back soon. And you look at this rotation right now. Jeff Samardzija with one of his better outings of the year on Wednesday against the Colorado Rockies. He had 7 strikeouts in 8 innings, but it was really his bat that was the story.
Hopefully for my first radio double, you know? Triple, or about the home run. They say home run just happens, but that hasn't happened too often, so we got to work now.
This was the swing of the game. A 2-run homer for Samardzija, and the Cubs would not look back. And he had the stuff we saw on opening day, JD.
Yeah, the thing that's impressed me most about Samardzija is he's been the same guy throughout this losing streak. He's had a lot of good starts, games in which he probably should have won, but didn't from one reason or another. But he never complained, never got down, continued to battle. You knew it was going to turn around for him. There are the numbers from that start against the Rockies on Wednesday. 8 very efficient innings. He only threw 105 pitches to go 8 against the Rockies.
And we mentioned Matt Garza's 6 shutout innings for Iowa yesterday. The Cubs will mull it over, and if things go well this weekend, who knows? He could be back in the rotation as early as next week. As we go to break, and we'll hear from Dale Swain coming up. The leadoff man is brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come test drive the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Visit myHyundaiChicago.com. You by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come test drive the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Visit myHyundaiChicago.com. Well, the Cubs soon will be welcoming back a top-of-the-rotation talent into their already strong rotation. Matt Garza has been rehabbing for a while. The Cubs have been pretty conservative with his rehab coming back from the lat injury. Let's hear from his manager, Dale Swain.
Well, we'll see how he does when he comes in, later today, and then we'll talk about it, tomorrow morning after his side and see where we are.
Can he talk you into it?
Well, he did what we asked him to do, that's for sure. So, like I said, we'll see how he feels, see how how his side goes, and then we'll go from there, and we'll sit down and talk and come up with a decision. I mean, really good. Very efficient, obviously, 75 pitches in 6 innings. Strikeouts, slider was better. You know, I mean, it was really good. So, I mean, everything went, you know, according to plan, and he stepped up and you know, got his 6 innings, and it was, you know, we'd have liked to probably sent him back out there maybe, but you know, he did what he was supposed to do, and that was it.
Durability is obviously the thing you want to make sure he's ready to handle, right? I mean, as far as going out there.
I mean, I don't think at this point. Obviously, we've taken this very slow, and you know, his durability is fine. It's, you know, I mean, he works so hard that he's, you know, that kind of stuff that's probably the last thing that we have to worry about with him. You know, he's pitched so much, he's thrown so many long sides, he's done, you know, he's built up to have durability, and yesterday obviously he went 6 innings, and you know, it's not a big league game, it's not a big league atmosphere, but you know, there will be more energy spent in a big league game. That's just the way it is. So, but like I said, we'll take a look at it, you know, today and then tomorrow his side and see where we are.
Those are the numbers. 6 innings, 2 hits. He got the win. Actually combined on a 4-hit, 1-0 shutout versus Tucson. Again, Garza will be back either the next time around or one after that. We hope to know more this weekend. Coming up, we'll go around the majors, first to third, as we continue. Man, brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come test drive the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Visit myhyundaichicago.com. And our baseball video of the week comes from the Korean Baseball Organization. John Jun-woo of the Lotte Giants thought he had hit a game-tying home run. Nah.
그러나 담장 앞에 잡히는군요. 펜스 바로 앞에서 잡아냈습니다.
You got to love the first baseman consoling him as he realized it was not a home run. Now first to third, David Price on the DL with a strained left triceps. The first time on the DL for him. Strasburg, 8 innings as the Padres lose. He back in his hometown of San Diego. Remember, he lost to the Cubs on Saturday. And baseball considering expanding replay. My opinion has evolved, says Commissioner Bud Selig. We'll have Matt Harvey and Edwin Jackson coming up. The Mets and Cubs are next. buzzing on game day as the Cubs kick off a weekend series against the New York Mets, and we are set for Cubs baseball on WGN Sports, the Mets and Cubs, and we welcome Cub fans from all over the country watching on WGN America, America's home for baseball. Hi again, everyone. Jim DeShays and Len Casper with you. The Mets are cold. They won yesterday, but that was their first win in 7. The Cubs are hot. They've won 6 of their last 9.
The Cubs are hot, and they've really dominated the Mets over the years here at Wrigley Field. Cubs turning it around offensively. Pitching's been very good throughout. You take a look at some numbers since April 23rd, 12-10. Better yet since May 6, 6-3 batting average, and that span up over 285. So the pitching, especially the starters, continues to be very good. Now the bats showing some life.
Tough one today against Matt Harvey, Edwin Jackson for the Cubs. Now the anthem.
And welcome the St. Ignatius College Prep Brass Ensemble, led by music conductor Mr. Don Racino, who is retiring this year after 50 years of teaching, as they honor America with our national anthem.
Coming up, Edwin Jackson looks for his 2nd consecutive victory. And the subject of this week's Sports Illustrated cover story, Matt Harvey for the Mets. Cubs baseball, brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. From shutouts to walk-offs, we've been celebrating the greatest moments in Major League Baseball for over 30 years. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. Honda, Visit your local Honda dealer or go to shophonda.com for current offers. And by AT&T. Find out what's possible with products and services from AT&T. Rethink possible. Chicago Cubs baseball in high definition on WGN TV is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Great to have students from the 8th grade class at Sauganash School, including Nikki Tianis here at the ballpark today. Good to have the Mets in town. We don't see them enough these days. Used to be a great rivalry. National League's old Eastern Division. Well, Edwin Jackson beat Steven Strasburg his last time out. And as a reward, he gets to face Matt Harvey today.
He's on the Phenom Tour. Not sure who is next up for him, but he was very good against Strasburg and the Nationals, and looking to build on that here this afternoon against Matt Harvey, who's become a big deal in New York, and why not with the way he has pitched. 4-0. He's got 4 consecutive no decisions, but he had an ERA below 2 in those 4 starts. You could really make a case that this kid should be 8-0. A 4th National League pitcher since 2000 to start a season undefeated with a sub-2 ERA and 60 or more strikeouts. That's a good factoid.
Here's another one for you. Wally Bell, the crew chief, will get the plate, an Ohio native. Manny Gonzalez is at first. Jordan Baker at second. Dan Bellino over at third. A little chilly today. Wind coming in off the lake. Overcast. The lights are already on. You see most of the Cubs bullpen and bench players with the hooded sweatshirts on. And let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. The Mets starting lineup written out by Terry Collins. Jordani Valdespin, interesting story. We'll get into that as we move along. Daniel Murphy, one of the streakiest hitters in baseball, is in a very hot stretch at the moment. David Wright, their best player, hits third. Ike Davis really scuffling. So is Lucas Duda. John Buck off to a very good start with 10 home runs. Rick Ankiel just signed earlier this week. Ruben Tejada, the shortstop, and Harvey, the pitcher.
Who's where for the Cubs today? Soriano, De Jesus, Shearholz, left, center, and right. Luis Valbuena continues to battle that finger problem, but handled one play at third the other day with no real issues. Castro Barney in the middle of the diamond, Rizzo at first, Wellington Castillo behind the plate. The Cub defense brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Edwin Jackson takes the bump with a 1-5 record. ERA still above 6. But, pretty solid work from Edwin last time out in beating the Nationals. 1-1 with a .450 in his career against the Mets in 4 starts. 3 of those were last year while he was a National. In those games, he was 1-1 with a .332. 3 starts. Pretty solid work against this Mets club last year for Edwin Jackson.
He takes his final warm-up tosses. The Cubs were off yesterday. They'll be off again on Monday following this series, and then head off to Pittsburgh and Cincinnati on the next road trip that actually will finish up in Chicago, but still on the road. 2 against the White Sox. It's Jordani Valdespin. The Mets yesterday snapped a 6-game skid by beating the Cardinals. Valdespin with a perfect drag bunt that sparked a 2-run rally, but his name has been in the news for all the wrong reasons here lately. Plays with a ton of flair, and it's rubbed some opponents and even his teammates the wrong way.
Yeah, probably more importantly, his teammates. There are a lot of guys that play with flair and do certain things, and the storyline becomes, well, you hate him if you play against him, but you really like him if he's on your team. What you're hearing out of New York now is nobody likes this guy, at least not right now. He's got to do a little image repair.
He's playing right today. He's an infielder by trade, and the first pitch of the ball game is a fastball outside for ball one. The latest controversy stems from how he showed up Jose Contreras on a home run against the Pirates last weekend, and everybody knew that the Pirates were going to retaliate at some point. In fact, his manager sent him to the plate as a pinch hitter the next day, seemingly to learn a lesson the hard way, which he did. And his teammates knew it was coming and almost seemed to condone it.
And it's interesting because Terry Collins, the manager of the Mets, has taken some heat in some quarters for sending him up there for that pinch hit at bat. But here's what we're talking about. He was styling it after hitting that home run. And then the next day pays the price.
Everybody in the ballpark knew that was coming. That's our AT&T UVerse replay. Find out what's possible with products and services from AT&T. Rethink possible. 1-2 bounces in front of the plate.
But at least in that replay, unlike that guy in Korea, at least he hit the home run when he was styling it. At least it did leave the park. There's Terry Collins. This is his third year managing the Mets. Prior to that, he'd been with the Angels. Started his big league managerial career with the Astros.
Well, they talked to Valdespin about maybe toning it down a little bit as he takes a called third strike. But his point is that when I hit a home run, I enjoy it. That's just kind of the way it is. I guess if you don't mind getting drilled every once in a while. And it's all about perception. It's not necessarily how you feel. It's how it's taken by people around you. But it can be funny that way.
Yeah. What I found interesting, some of the Met comments were, you know, it was a game in which I think they're getting beat 7-1. It was kind of a meaningless home run. It's one thing, I guess, in their opinion, if you were to show somebody up if you hit a big home run to beat them, or at least, you know, if you show emotion when you hit a big home run, I think everybody's okay with that. Timing wasn't good, and you get the sense that there's been other issues in that clubhouse for it to come bubbling to the surface as it has now.
And because it's the Mets and it's the New York media, this thing has not gone away. As Daniel Murphy had a big day yesterday, 4 for 4 in St. Louis, grounds out, 2 down. Hope the fans brought a light jacket today. It's a little colder than we thought it was going to be. Yeah, 49 degrees just off the lake.
Yeah, so I checked multiple sources this morning. I was listening to the radio, and they kept saying a high of 81 today. Then I went to the phone, and my quote-unquote smartphone said it was going to be in the mid-70s today. And here we are at 49.
Welcome to Chicago.
It's not horrible. It's just a lot cooler than we expected.
Chilly. David Wright, strike one. During spring training, he was officially named team captain, the 4th in Mets history. Keith Hernandez, Gary Carter, John Franco, and Mr. Wright, who signed an 8-year extension in December. 1-1.
Chico Escuela was never team captain of the Mets. Different times.
The kick and the 1-1 bounced foul to the pull side past Tim Tuffle, the third base coach.
So many of these Met hitters really scuffling here in the month of May. They've right over the last 10 games, hitting .257. He's been able to hang in there.
And he crushes that one to left, and the Mets grab a first inning lead. David Wright at the back of the bleachers for his 6th of the year, and it's 1-0.
Yeah, he's clearly a guy in this lineup that you identify. We don't want to let this guy beat you, but you don't really, you know, pitch the top half of the first inning with that mindset. With 2 outs, nobody on, you're going to be pretty aggressive. You're going to try to get everybody out. It's late game, tight game situations where you really adopt that pitch around philosophy. So he gets a fastball to hit here, and right with a OPS up over 900. Delivers his 6th home run of the year.
Fourth given up by Jackson. Now the scuffling Ike Davis. That's to put it lightly. Davis 0 for 22 with 10 strikeouts his last 6 games. Right now, Terry Collins sticking with him in that cleanup spot.
Well, because this is very much, where he was at this time last year, and then he really turned things around. From about this point in the season on, he was pretty darn good.
Down in an 0-2 hole. Here's a pitch. It's a slider that bounces. And when you're 0 for 22, you find yourself 0-2 a lot. Seems to work that way. Called strike 3 to end the inning. So 24-year-old Matt Harvey has an early lead to work with. We'll be back. Soriano, Sherholtz, Valbuena, Castillo, Barney, and Jackson. Cubs on pace to shatter their all-time record for doubles, which is currently 340. They're on a pace to hit 377.
Well, let's meet the Mets. Defensively, Lucas Duda patrols left field. Rick Ankiel, recently released by the Astros. Mets picked him up just the other day. Jordani Valdespin is in right. David Wright, he's won a couple of Gold Gloves. He's one of the best third basemen in baseball. Tejada can pick it at short. Made errors early, but he's settled in. Murphy and Davis on the right side, and the veteran John Buck behind the plate. And on the hill, 24-year-old Matt Harvey. What a story he has been. 4-0, 144 the ERA. Tremendous strikeout numbers. 62 punch-outs, just 14 freebies, and 56 in the third innings. Cub hitters have their work cut out for them today.
Well, his picture plastered all over the front of this week's Sports Illustrated. A terrific long article by Tom Verducci on the 24-year-old Matt Harvey. Facing the Cubs for the first time. And the fastball is inside for ball one. The Dark Knight of Gotham. Pretty interesting story. And the best numbers he's had in his life have been at this level. DeJesus turns on one, right field corner, and it's fouled just off that sidewall.
Sometimes the only chance you get to touch up an elite pitcher is early before he gets settled in. Unfortunately for David, that ball hooking foul, but a good swing on a low fastball from Harvey. He's a guy who's got a plus arm, 95-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, he'll sit at 95. He can really light up the radar gun. Good, sharp, lane-changing slider. Big curveball. Changeup is a developing pitch for him. Not really consistent, but if he puts that, gets that into the mix with this other stuff, it's going to be unbelievably good.
4 consecutive no decisions coming in, a 1.98 ERA with 30 strikeouts during this particular stretch. And on May 12th, he became the first pitcher in the modern era to not get a decision in a start of 9 innings with at least 12 strikeouts, no walks, and 1 hit. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Meanwhile, David DeJesus led off Wednesday's bottom of the first against the Rockies with a home run. In front of another one. Well, JD, the book on Harvey is that if you're at the plate, don't just sit there and assume because he throws 95 to 98 that you're going to get all fastballs.
No,
he uses all 4 of his pitches.
Yeah, he does. That one changeup, he misfired with it, left it high and away. So the slider, you know, it's kind of odd for a guy who throws 96, 97 miles an hour. But I think a lot of guys will tell you the slider's his best pitch.
One was up. And Valdespin in right center will haul it in. Well, we'd love to hear from you. Email us, LennonJD@Tribune.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. And we're on across the country today. And this is the only matinee. Everything else tonight is under the lights. A lot of eyes here on Wrigley Field. Starlin Castro was watching video of Matt Harvey on his iPad before batting practice. Called strike on the inside corner at 95. Starlin saying, if you're going to give him that one, we don't have a chance. And he smacks that one into left for a base hit. Castro now with 10 hits for his last 7 games.
He starts fastball in, a little 2-seam runner at 95 miles an hour that he got the call on, then comes back with the slider, trying to go away with the slider, and that ball just hovered over the inner half of the plate.
Well, Harvey doesn't give up hits. Righties and lefties this year and in his career, and it's a short career. This is only his 19th start. Nobody's hit over a 175 against him in terms of the platoon splits. Skied foul by Rizzo.
Well, the league this year is batting 143 against Harvey. That's the best mark in baseball. Kind of an old school drop and driver. They draw comparisons to the great Tom Seaver in New York with this young kid.
Roger Clemens as well. His dad, Ed, longtime baseball coach at the high school level, an assistant coach at the college level, former college outfielder, taught him his mechanics. And it's all about the arm swing.
Yeah, he gets great extension.
He's from Mystic, Connecticut. Grew up a Yankee fan. And the 1-1 to Rizzo, misses on a changeup blown outside. 2-1. The one thing we haven't heard about Harvey compared to Steven Strasburg last year is some sort of strict innings limit. Might depend on the Mets record late in the year. But the Mets have not talked about that sort of thing specifically. Rizzo laces one into the corner and left. Castro on his way to third, and he will stop there. It's a double for Rizzo. The Cubs, as we mentioned, have been a doubles machine as a club.
And that man right there, Anthony Rizzo, he's the guy that's really fueled this turnaround by the Cubs offensively over the last couple of weeks plus. The willingness and the ability to hit that two-seam fastball the other way. I was talking to the guy just off to your left there, Len, was really good at that back in the day, Keith Hernandez. And talking to Keith about Rizzo earlier on, he said, yeah, he does what you do. He's able to hit that ball well the other way. Cubs with a good early chance now against this tough right-hander.
Soriano looks at ball one inside on a heater. Well, the Cubs beat Strasburg last weekend. They've beaten Lance Lynn. Justin Verlander gave up 8 runs in 2 2/3 yesterday. Lost to Yu Darvish. Good challenge here for this Cubs offense. The pitch up the middle. Nice play, Tejada. The throw on a bounce gets away from Davis. The Cubs grab the lead. Castro already had scored. Rizzo in. It's 2-1.
Tejada showing outstanding range. Davis just not able to bail him out. I mean, that goes as an E6. And with a back runner involved in this play, the priority for the first baseman is just to make sure you contain that ball. Don't pick it, block it. Davis can't do either. And the Cubs get a second run, so it's a single. And then that second run coming home on the E6.
We get to Harvey here in the very first inning. Letting him settle in. And you feel like a guy like Harvey will settle in at some point. So you've got him on the ropes. Make sure you cash in, and the Cubs have.
Yeah, the chances are that he will. I mean, everybody has a bad day every now and then. But the way he's been going along, you don't anticipate it. You certainly don't expect it. Time now for Xfinity Home from Comcast. Hall's Wrigley Field home now has been really good in this park as a Cub and prior. 346. That'll get it done.
2-0 the count. The pitch, swing and a miss on the changeup. This is 2-1. Fouled away.
Looks like the game plan here early from the veteran catcher John Buck is to make sure that Harvey does use all of his pitches, doesn't become fastball reliant early. Makes all those pitches in, get the feel for them, and you know he's having some struggles here in the first. I'm sure what Buck is thinking, if he can get the feel for the slider to go along with his 95-mile-an-hour heater, then we'll have a good chance.
Spent a lot of time painting that helmet.
Yeah, it's a New York themed helmet. It's got the Statue of Liberty on there.
Very nice. Line foul.
Nice play.
That slider for Harvey's a fairly recent development. It's not a pitch he threw a ton Before he got to this level, it was one of the better sliders around. It's collegiately at North Carolina. Soriano dancing off first, and that ball hit hard, but it's going to be caught by Ankiel for the second out. That was the other thing about the Verducci SI piece. In 2010, at the University of North Carolina, Harvey had a game against Clemson in which he threw 157 pitches. The last of which registered at 97 miles an hour.
Oh, he's a big, strong kid.
That's took him as a 7th overall pick in that 2010 draft. 3 years before that, he did not sign after the Angels grabbed him in the 3rd round. Buck will fire to first, and Soriano just gets back in time.
Harvey 6'4", 225. On the dirt, left-handed hitter. Buck sneaking in behind, taking a shot at Soriano.
Pitch found back by Valbuena.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the Mets do with Harvey as the innings pile up and the season moves along. It doesn't look like they're going to be a playoff contending team, so there's no reason to push him. I think the Strasburg story became a story last year because the Nationals all of a sudden found themselves to have a very, very good team, and what are you going to do with them? It probably won't be the case with the Mets.
Well, they've got some contracts coming off the books after the season, so should have some money to spend. Richard Terry Collins in his 3rd season with the Mets after a long layoff in the manager's chair with the Astros and the Angels way back when.
Mets have one of the top pitching prospects in the minor leagues as well, Zach Wheeler. So they're starting to have visions of Seaver, Kuzman, some of those great pitching staffs that they put together way back in the day.
Swing and a miss to end the inning, but the Cubs get to Harvey for 2 runs on 3 hits. An error helped out 2.
Log on to WGNTV.com right now, and I mean right now, and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner. Connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you're watching from home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape Pools, patio sets, play sets, hot tubs, and more. Skip school, don't put me on TV. And signed it.
Oops. Lucas Duda takes a strike. Mentioned some of the struggling Mets. Duda 5 for 42 in the month of May.
He's a good money ball guy, though. He draws his walks. He hits for power. He's not hitting for average.
And he will take pitches. That time he clubs one out to left, and it'll be caught by Soriano.
And he almost never swings at the first pitch. It's kind of a freebie. Pump one in there for strike one.
Now John Buck. 5 out of his last 37. But he's got 10 home runs, tied for third in the National League. Hasn't homered in his last 9. He hit 9 in April, tied for the most ever by a Met in the month of April. Dave Kingman in 1976. Carlos Delgado in 06. He's got 31 RBIs. Third in the league. Tied for third. Sharply hit ground ball to the shortstop, Starlin Castro, and he gets him. The battle for the Crosstown Cup will be decided here in Wrigley Field when the White Sox travel north to play the Cubs on Wednesday, May 29th and Thursday, May 30th. Tickets for both matinees, including in the Budweiser bleachers, are still available. Go to Cubs.com today to purchase. Rick Ankiel, who signed with the Mets on Monday after being cut loose by the Astros. Real struggle for him with Houston. 35 strikeouts and 62 at bats. You see what he's done this week with the Mets. The former pitcher takes ball one, 1-1. His career numbers offensively. One of 4 players ever with at least 40 starts as a pitcher and 40 home runs. Babe Ruth.
It says Ruth would have to be there.
George Van Haltren and Cy Seymour. The others on that list.
And what was the criteria? 40
starts, 40 home runs.
That's a rare 40-40 club there.
And he chased one in the dirt. And Steele will fire to Rizzo in a 1-2-3 second for Jackson. Cubs lead 2-1. For up to 200 guests for corporate gatherings, family reunions, and bachelor or bachelorette parties. Individual and group tickets are available for all games. For more details, go to WrigleyvilleRooftops.com or call 773-248-ROOF. Harvey back to work in the second. Fires a strike in on Wellington Castillo. The 2 runs in the first were earned, even with the Tejada error. Deep to center. Way back. Ankiel has it right up against the wall. Castillo gave it a ride.
Harvey having a hard time developing the feel for his breaking ball here this afternoon, and Cubs taking advantage, putting some very good swings on him, including this one by Castillo. A bid for extra bases, but Ankiel there just in front of the ivy, able to haul it in.
Six and a strike on Darwin Barney. He's heating up at the plate. Against the Rockies, 5 for 11 with a home run, 2 doubles. He scored 4 times.
Yeah, it looks like he's trusting his swing a little bit more now, as opposed to when he was scuffling, just trying to feel for the ball, maybe trying to guide it the other way. Now he's just swinging it. Has that ability, does Harvey, to elevate and beat you upstairs. That one at 97 shoulder high, Barney did well just to get a piece of it. That's where the real comparisons to guys like Seaver and Clemens come. Seaver was a guy that sort of four-seamer up in the zone, a little hop on it.
Slider missed outside. Jackson on deck. We're in the second. All the runs coming in the first. Curveball inside.
Fight here by Barney after falling down in the count, 2 strikes. Really made Harvey work hard in the first.
Backhanded by Tejada. So 2 down, and it brings up Jackson. You just can't play it out on paper. You got to play it. Jackson with a 6.02 ERA coming in, 1-5. Harvey 4-0 with a 1.44. You look at the rest of the weekend. Feldman and Wood for the Cubs. ERAs of 2.53, 2.03. Hefner and G for the Mets, 4.61 and 6.13. If you just go by that, you go, well, Mets win Friday, Cubs win Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
but that's not how it works.
You're playing, Stratomatic or one of those board games. Percentage bear out, and over the long haul, percentages in baseball do tend to bear out. But on a daily basis, anything can happen. That's why we're intrigued by this game.
Just foul.
And had the big hit in his last start, a 2-run double.
Well, Anthony Rizzo said after the game Wednesday, said when our starters hit, we win.
For the most part, the Cubs pitchers have been pretty darn good swinging the bat. all things being relative.
Travis Wood on Monday, 2 for 3. Samardzija with that home run on Wednesday, called strike 3 to end the inning. Second punch out for Harvey. 2-1, the Cubs lead. The game today, we recognize Castle Chevrolet for its support of the Villa Park Youth Baseball. Villa Park Chevrolet, or Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana dealers, are supporting over 30,000 young ball players in their communities through the Chevy Youth Baseball program. Since 2010, the Chicago area Chevy dealers have been providing these local youth leagues equipment kits, instructional clinics, and much needed financial support. So once again, from the big leagues to the youth leagues, Chevy is truly the official vehicle of baseball. Great to have in the booth with us after a nice ride to the ballpark on a chilly day, Cubs owner Todd Ricketts. Got the big Wrigley Field Road Tour coming up once again this August. How you doing, Todd?
Doing great, doing great. Yeah, we did have a little bit of a chilly ride, but you know, it's a nice day either way, and it's kind of the ride we do to kick off the promotion for our 100-mile ride in August. It's August 25th this year, and you know, over the last 4 years, we've raised over $1 million, and it's fun to have a good group of people down here. We're wearing our red shirts, although everybody seemed like they bundled up a little bit once we got here.
Get the blood pumping, you sweat a little bit on the bike. So here's Ruben Tejada leading off for the Mets in the third inning. So you rode from Wilmette today, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It's just 12 miles this morning, just to draw attention to the bike check-in that we have here, and also the fundraising that we do for Cubs Charities and World Bicycle Relief. So
I want you to tell us about World Bicycle Relief. I know it's something that's been important to you for a long time as DeJesus makes a grab.
Well, the way I like to describe it is that Cubs Charities does a lot of great work in the neighborhood, and once a year we stretch Wrigleyville to reach out to East Africa. And World Bicycle Relief does a lot of work with, you know, bringing bikes to kids, healthcare workers, and entrepreneurs, really, through like micro loan programs that help them grow their businesses. And the interesting thing is we have these measures and evaluations that we watch, and the attendance for kids, and like their grades go up because they're at school more often, and it's really fascinating. They do a lot of good work.
So registration is now underway.
That's right. If you go to worldbicyclerelief.org and then look for the link of Wrigley Field Road Tour, you can go and sign up, and we're going to have a great event. We're going to ride 100 miles out. We're going to leave Wrigley, come back to Wrigley, and have a barbecue on the field with a band.
Matt Harvey cranks one to deep left, and Soriano, that ball was knuckling on him, is able to make the catch. So the fourth annual.
Yeah,
event.
that's right. Yeah, we got to get you out there, Len.
I would love to.
We're going to have a good band. You're going to like it.
Oh, I bet. No, you and I, we mesh on music for sure.
And so is this bigger and bigger every year? You get more riders?
We kind of try to limit it to about 700 riders just to keep the event manageable. But yeah, we're right up there, and then we'll have maybe 1,000 people on the field here. It's really good fun. Hamburgers, hot dogs, have a couple beers, and in August it's going to be 90 degrees, so
we'll
have that
earned
going
it
for
by
us.
then, yeah.
Exactly.
No, we are in San Diego that day, unfortunately. So you'll have the ballpark to yourself that day.
That's
that
right.
Sounds fun.
Every year, Len, I tell you, you got to call in sick one day. Just give it. I'm not feeling so good.
As long as you can send a note for me on my behalf. One strike
I'll
on
find a
Valdez
doctor
Street.
for you.
Then we'll go for he'll do a sympathetic ride out on the West Coast.
So how many miles are you riding these days a week?
You know what? I've been pretty light these days. I have to admit, I'm getting kind of lazy in my old age. Plus, it's been a little bit chilly. But I get out there every now and again. I'm not the big peloton guy to ride with the group of 20 or 30 guys that are humming along. I get out by myself and just drink out a few miles.
There's the 0-2.
I've ridden to a couple games though this year. I'm using the free bike valet there. I even pulled up one day and the guy, he didn't give me a ticket. I'm like, aren't you going to give me a ticket? He's like, I know which bike is yours. And I'm like, I'll feel better if you give me a piece of paper.
Go upstairs here on the 1-2, way out of the zone. Yeah, so if people do ride their bike to the ballpark, where can they go to?
It's right out on Waveland there, in the near the parking lot by our offices. I guess.
Yeah, Waveland Clark.
Yeah, right at left field. You can park your bike, valet it for you for free, and it's secured the entire time, and so you don't have to lock it up. You don't have to put a lock or anything.
Up in the air to center. It'll be DeJesus to end the inning.
There you go.
Todd, thanks for stopping by. Sunday, August 25th, worldbicyclerelief.org. Sign up. It's a great event. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Guy borrowed your T-shirt. McLovin. Cubs lead 2-1 as they'll send the top of the order against Matt Harvey for the second time. Jesus flied to right. Long at bat to start the game. 1-0. A little bit of sunshine this Friday afternoon. Called strike. Budweiser Patio's busy today. We'll be out there a little later on this summer. Looking forward to that. But we'll be working.
I mean, we can't, like,
well, we can do a lot of things.
Play and work at the same time?
Technically, we'll be working. I guess we're always playing and working.
The wind seems to have picked up a little bit as well.
One-two pitch. Inside. That's a slider. It's got cutter action.
Yeah, one man's cutter is another man's slider. A lot of it's just the individual pitcher, what he calls it. And generally, the slider has a little depth to it, where a cutter is just going to move horizontally across the strike zone.
Bouncer to Murphy. Come to Wrigley tomorrow to watch the Cubs take on these Mets at 12:05. The first 10,000 fans will receive a silicone scoreboard slap watch. Compliments of Pepsi. For more info or to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Castro extended his hit streak to 7 and scored on the Soriano hit in the first inning. Average up to 287.
I believe that was a 90-mile-an-hour changeup he just featured. You saw the same forecast I did.
Is that what your outfit looked like
no,
originally?
I'm guessing they thought it was going to be a little warmer than it is right now. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a fashion thing. 99. Where he finds another gear.
You know, we come prepared with the jacket.
See, for me, it's all about up here. Just, you know, when it's cooler, I need to throw a little lid on, and I'm good.
Foul. Interesting reaction by Harvey. You see, as Buck threw the ball back to him, the catcher saying, "It's all right, don't worry about it."
It's okay to demand perfection of yourself. You just can't expect it. You're going to make a few mistakes over the course of the game. You just hope to get away with them.
Ball's going to drop in front of Valdespin. So Castro on an 0-2 picks up his second knock.
The slider to left field last time. Now he fights off the fastball, moving up and in on him a little bit. Hit it hard, but found a safe haven out there in shallow right.
Rizzo with a double and a run in the first. Cubs' 94th double already this season. Swing and a miss on a change. So the Cubs' single season team record for doubles 340, 1931 and 2007, but they're currently on a pace to hit 377. So that would shatter the old mark. Ball, 1 strike. Well, one thing I got from the SI article is that while there are now enormous expectations placed on the shoulders of Matt Harvey, particularly pitching in the biggest market in the majors, that he likes those expectations. Duda for the out. And he wants to be Justin Verlander.
Yeah, you either
he wants to be Tom Seaver.
You either have to embrace it or cower from it. And the latter's not going to do you any good.
That was 15th RBI in that first inning. And he fouls back.
Notable because he was stuck on 2 for the longest time. He's been part of the resurgence of this Cub offense in recent weeks.
Two strikes on Soriano. Sherholtz on deck. Castro singled with 1 away. Now there are 2. Harvey throws, swing, and a miss. So his 3 strikeouts have all been the 3rd out of the inning. NTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 34 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. I have a post on the importance of this Mets series for the Cubs. And also this weekend, make sure you check out our Stats Sunday piece written by that man, Bruce Miles, our good friend from the Daily Herald. We'll talk with Bruce on the leadoff man on Sunday about the quality start. Daniel Murphy out into deep left. Soriano will not have a play. In and out of the basket. That's a home run. We mentioned Murphy came in hot. He is now 12 for his last 22, following a 6 for 50 stretch.
Well, started him away with a fastball, and they're going back out there again. That was the intention, but as you see, that one caught a little too much of the plate, but a good swing by Murphy, who was obviously locked in.
Came in hitting .394 on the road, leading the league, and he just tied it up. Now the guy who gave the Mets a first inning lead, David Wright, who homered to left. And he's 2 for 2.
Feature guest to announce some view of Wrigley Field from the Budweiser Bleacher Suite. The Bleacher Suite features a sports bar atmosphere with new TVs, high top tables, and windows that open to give you the atmosphere of the bleachers, but in your own private room. The suite can hold up to 100 guests, with food, drinks, and parking. For more information, visit Cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-4200. Operators are standing by.
Great shot from atop the scoreboard. Joe Pausback up there today. Mike Davis caught looking in the first, swinging and missing. Davis made his big league debut against the Cubs April 19th, 2010, and then went 2 for 4. It's been a while for him. I don't know if you like seeing that or not if you're a Cub fan. We talk all the time about the regression to the mean, cycles of baseball, guys being due.
It's uncanny how similar his numbers are this year to last at this point in the season.
Hi, Joe. Those Marquette guys, they're not afraid of heights.
Does he get extra pay for being up there? Is that a high risk position?
I don't know. Ground ball. Barney with a neat backhand. The flip. Oh, what a turn. 4-6-3.
Well, when you're going bad, you're going bad. And Ike Davis this time accounts for 2 outs with that ground ball to Barney, but a slick double play here by the middleman for the Cubs. And DeCastro up and over to complete it. Darwin Barney takes the field every day in a major league game. He takes the field knowing there is no better defender on the field.
Due to what's to the strike. So let me ask you, I mean, your first year watching this team every day, Barney was not here the first 2 weeks on the DL. Is it noticeable to you how much better the infield defense is with him in there? As Duda lines one into the gap, it's going to be cut off by DeJesus. Because I think Barney's the kind of guy who he really grows on you defensively.
Yeah,
he just makes all the plays.
Yeah, and you know, I have a hard time making the leap to saying that other players are playing better defensively because he's out there. But if you think of it in this way, there's 4 guys on the infield, and the guys in the middle get a lot of action. So when you know that spot is not going to make a mistake, so that changes the math right there. The calculus defensively changes when he comes in. I'm not sure he's making anybody else any better by his presence, but you know, that's one spot that plays are going to be made. The right decision is almost always going to be made.
Well, maybe with the shortstop, just because they've played together so many times and there's a comfort factor with communication. Well, Brandon Phillips was surprised Barney won the Gold Glove. I don't think a lot of other people were. He earned it. As great a player as Phillips is.
Oh, Phillips is a great defender.
Cubs are .500 with Barney in the lineup and 4-10 without him. And he's hitting under 200. Buck went around 0-2.
Still calling for that high fastball. Jackson made the pitch. Buck could not check his swing. Mets do not steal a lot of bases. They've stolen 19 bases. They've been caught 6 times.
Got Buck's attention. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Clearly the book on Buck is get ahead and he'll chase upstairs. At least 1 page of the book. The Cubs, Jackson have decided to attack him here.
Most hitters have a book, or is it a pamphlet in some cases?
I think it's mostly a pamphlet. And then you look at that pamphlet or book on a hitter. Okay, he'll expand, he'll chase this, or he's good in this county, or handles this kind of pitch, and then you try to tailor to your game. The example I always give is, I used to say that so-and-so's got a slider speed bat, so throw fastballs. And I'd always argue, well, I've got a slider speed fastball. So that's not going to work here. We got to tailor a plan for me. You know, you get this Harvey guy out there throwing 90-mile-an-hour changeups. That's absurd in my world. I can't relate to that. So what applies for his game attacking at the Cub hitters, if a guy like me were on the mound, would be a completely different game plan. Not a one-size-fits-all approach.
And that's where the pamphlet becomes a book.
Turn to the back page.
The 2-2 pitch. A roller to Valbuena. He'll take the short throw to Barney. They'll get Duda there. Murphy with a leadoff homer, and it's now 2-2 in the 4th. tuned. 7th inning stretch coming up. Brought to you by Captain Morgan. Raise your glass always in moderation to life, love, and loot. Henry Melton, the Pro Bowl defensive tackle, will sink the stretch.
Maybe played a little cricket or something back in the day.
We'll have something to talk about on the baseball field at least. And a lot of football with Henry Melton. Daniel Murphy with a game-tying home run.
You know, a lot of times when we have a guest up here, especially if the guest is a former athlete or a current athlete, I'll ask him that, hey, did you ever play any baseball? I'm guessing we don't need to throw that one out there with Henry.
Sherholtz, Valbuena, and Castillo against Harvey. Curve is high for ball one. Sherholtz lined to center's first time up.
Been a big part of it for the Cubs in terms of the doubles. He's on the league leaderboard in that category.
Well, there are a lot of different ways to have success as a big league pitcher. And clearly Harvey is a power pitcher, but over the course of time, the fact that he is a 4-pitch guy should serve him well once 98 becomes maybe 96, which becomes 94, which becomes 92.
He's got good movement on his 2-seam fastball, too. He gets a pretty good run. In terms of fastball, you're looking for velocity, you're looking for movement, and you're looking for the ability to locate it. The location part came a little bit later for him. It does for a lot of young pitchers, but he's got the velocity, obviously, which is a plus tool for him. And the movement is good on that 2-seamer. It's the guys who are straight at 94, and then when you're straight at 89, say that doesn't play as well.
Down by Davis, he will have time. Harvey covering first.
So in the 2-seam fastball, you know when you're watching on television, the movement is fairly easy to see. The 4-seamer is typically a straighter pitch. But when you talk about life on a pitch, that's what you see with the 4-seamer. The ball that's as it gets into the hitting zone, it has the appearance of a ball that's actually rising or has a little hop.
Buena fouls back.
That's the one you get a lot of swings and misses, a lot of foul offs, lazy fly balls.
Left field, Duda without a play. Beautiful look at Wrigley Field. It's 100th season. Up in 1914. The Cubs moved in 1916. Picked up by David Wright. He'll sling it across. It was actually built for a team in the Federal League, the Federals/Wales, the original tenants, and it was called Weedman Park. Became Cubs Park in 1920, and then after the Wrigley family purchased the club, it was renamed Wrigley Field in 1926.
I suppose they were called the Chicago Whales.
That is a good
No
question.
such thing as a lake whale, is there? Not to my knowledge.
Curve ball up and in. Mentioned on the leadoff man, David Price going to the disabled list. A lot of pitching injury news yesterday. Roy Halladay had shoulder surgery. Joel Hanrahan and Johnny Venters each had Tommy John surgery. Venters the second of his career.
Doesn't bode well.
Will get out of play. Jeff Francis goes to the DL with a strained groin. I guess he injured himself in his start here at Wrigley earlier this week. DJ LeMahieu's back in the big leagues. Rockies have brought him up. He was hitting .364 at AAA. He designated for assignment Reed Brignac. Rockies lost to the Giants 8-6 last night. And the Giants have won 10 in a row against the Rockies. Swung on and missed. Matt Harvey, you are a madman. I want to party with you. Fifth Third Bank, creating contemporary solutions for a better banking experience for everyone. Fifth Third Bank, the curious bank. Member FDIC. Two-two tie as we get into the fifth.
That's with a couple of solo home runs today, right in the first, Murphy in the fourth.
Big rip by Ankiel, and he fouled it back.
One run swing there, just didn't square it up. Cubs put a shift down for Ankiel. Barney in shallow right field. You see the 1-3-1 zone trap.
So when Ankiel joined the Mets earlier this week, he had to borrow a glove and spikes from his teammates because his hadn't arrived yet. It was Scott Rice's glove. He actually missed making a catch. Oh, what a play by Jackson. He actually stopped that ball with his foot and went straight up in the air. And he gets Ankiel. A resourceful Edwin Jackson.
I don't know if Edwin ever played a little soccer. Pretty fancy footwork here. A little hacky sack. Although I think I have to subtract points because I don't think he tried to. That ball found him more so than the other way around, because he's looking back for a play to be made behind him when all of a sudden, boink, right off of his foot, and then he makes the fine play.
Ruben Tejada. There's a happy Cub fan right there.
Everybody wants to hang out with the most popular kid in school. Got to get a high five while the moment is fresh.
Jesus in center. 2 outs.
It's a 12:05 game here tomorrow with the Mets, and then a 1:20 for the series finale on Sunday. Tickets are still available for both games, including tickets in the Budweiser bleachers. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com.
Might take the rest of the
Choke
day
up,
to finish off.
Yeah, that's Louisville slugger there. Stay within yourself now. Can't make the club in one day.
Called strike to Harvey. He lined to left. His first time up. Went 6 for 18 last year.
Talked earlier about the comparisons with young Tom Seaver in the Mets. He could swing it a little bit. Doc Gooden could handle the bat. Lineage of right-handed power pitchers there in New York.
That is a strikeout for Edwin Jackson. Matching wits today with a young Harvey. It's 2-2.
creating contemporary solutions for a better banking experience for everyone. Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank, member FDIC.
Well, if this means anything, I don't think it does. Just interesting that Harvey has 4 strikeouts. 1 to end the first, 1 to end the second, 1 to finish the third, and 1 to end the fourth.
Okay. Interesting trend. He does it for 9 innings. Bet you we have a record on our hands.
Perhaps hoping he doesn't make it that far.
He's got a flair for the dramatic. He likes to finish innings big.
National League Pitcher of the Month in April. On his first 4 starts, 4 no decisions since. Here's his 0-1 to Barney. Out into shallow center. Ankiel on the move will make the catch. That's his glove. Tried to make a diving catch, we mentioned, in his Mets debut, and could not with a borrowed mitt. Talked about this before. Guys in their gloves, one thing with your bat, but that glove is an extension of you as a big leaguer.
Especially infielders. They're really finicky. Most of them. Not all.
Swing and a miss on a slider. 0-2 on Jackson.
Should we measure that, Mitt? Is that regulation?
I think there's a 2-minute penalty or anything. There's such a thing.
We still have video of that guy in Pittsburgh, the fan of that giant glove.
Liner to Murphy for the out. So DeJesus will take his time after his pitcher just made the out. And let's take a look at the Cubs' forward upcoming schedule. Noon start tomorrow here at the ballpark. Sunday on WGN. It's Stats Sunday. And we'll hit the air at 1 o'clock on the leadoff man. Off day Monday, and then a roadie in Pittsburgh starting on Tuesday. Ford, go further in any one of Ford's many fuel efficient vehicles. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Thanks, David DeJesus, giving us time for that promo. It's a good leadoff man right there, giving his pitcher plenty of time.
Yeah, understands. This pitcher may need a little blow here, middle innings. First 2 went quickly.
On a hot, Murphy will backhand, look it in, and get the out. So Harvey has, in fact, settled in. We go to the 6th. It's the Cubs 2 and the Mets 2.
Even match, 2-2, 4 hits apiece. Except committed 1 error. It was costly. Matt Harvey, 78 pitches after working hard in the first. He has settled in. Edwin Jackson, very efficient, 56 pitches made so far. A couple of solo home runs accounting for the Mets runs. Jackson has not walked a man today. Earlier this year, control was an issue for him, not so much lately. For Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Honda dealers, as reliable as the cars themselves.
Third time through for the Mets against Jackson. And you're right, this is as efficient as Edwin has been all season. He's given up 2 solo home runs. Hasn't walked anybody as he faces Valdespin. Corner man in. Ball 1, according to Wally Bell. Pitch fouled back.
By the way, I was checking the rule book. The length of the glove, 12 inches is the maximum. From the tip of any one of the fingers to the heel of the glove.
What is a penalty if you're using an illegal glove?
I don't know. I remember years ago there was a controversy. There was somebody that they measured the glove on. I'm going to say Brett Butler, but I could be dead wrong.
Sherholtz's outfielder's mitt.
12 inches at its longest point and 7 3/4 wide, I believe.
Trying to think of what the equivalent of cork would be in a mitt.
Yeah, you can't. There's no rules about defacing your glove. You can put all kinds of substances in your glove. I don't know if there's any advantage to stick them in there. Then you'd have a hard time getting the ball out.
Right.
Sounds like the plot line of some kind of a Disney movie.
Jackson's 2-2. Off of third, it's Valbuena. It's out of play.
Hard to believe, but MLB.TV is celebrating 11 years. Join the millions of fans and subscribe today. Watch every out-of-market game live online on your favorite mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. Visit MLB.TV today. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere.
Time called before the next one.
Here we go. Here's a big trapper.
It's like some sort of sea creature with a big claw. There's a glove we just happened to find on the internet. If you know, you can send us an email or tweet us. Where is that glove? And why is it there? Three and two. Murphy on deck, the Mets' hottest hitter at the moment. All four. So it looked like Jackson basically hit his spot, but you saw Castillo was set up and in.
Yeah, I think they want to throw that two-seamer that starts in and runs back to the inside corner. It's upper reaches of the strike zone. You're normally not going to get that one called. Just a little bit high.
So that's his first free pass. Valdespin is 4 out of 5 in stolen base attempts.
As I mentioned, they don't run much, but he certainly would be a candidate. David Wright's been their best. He's 8 out of 9.
On the outside corner.
There's two ways to think of it. If you're Terry Collins, you've got your best hitters coming up. So if you find a way to get Valdespin into scoring position for Murphy and Wright with a stolen base, then it might be worth taking. The other downside, of course, is you got your hottest hitter and your best hitter coming up next. Sometimes you don't want them dealing with the distraction of the guy trying to steal a base. You don't want Murphy right now taking pitches so Valdespin can try to steal second base. That's normally the role of a two-hole hitter, but Murphy right now, the way he's swinging it, Terry Collins wants to make sure he has the freedom to attack whenever he sees a pitch to his liking.
Johnson takes a look over his left shoulder now to fire over there. Valdespin did not have a big lead that time. Former Cub Tom Goodwin advising, and Mets first base coach. Left center, Soriano coming over along with DeJesus. It'll be David to get it. That's the first out. It's Wright who is already 2 for 2 with a home run. Wright came in just 2 for 10 against Jackson. Got a tweet from John Keith, who says that glove we showed you is Canada's largest baseball glove in Alberta, the village of Heisler. That's the only response I've seen so far on Twitter.
Good work. Good work.
Yeah.
We could do a scavenger hunt up here every day. Just send people scurrying around trying to find pictures we throw up on our telecast.
That'll be our Scavengers Sundays segment. Jackson still focused on the runner over there at first, and Valdespin will work on the dirt. The 0-1 to right is a called strike.
Maybe that glove was a monument to Dick Stewart. Dick Stewart, they used to call Dr. Strange Glove. He was a first baseman, played in the 50s and 60s, notoriously bad fielder. If you wanted to honor that, I guess you would make an iron glove.
Two is high. I don't know if you've seen it. It came out a long time ago. I'd like to see it again. It's been a while. The Life and Times of Hank Greenberg. One of the better baseball documentaries I've ever seen. And Hank was not a particularly strong defensive first baseman. So over the course of his career, this is 30s, 40s, his gloves kept getting bigger and bigger and eventually became essentially what the first baseman's mitt is today. Knocked down by Castillo, 2-2.
So he would just go back to the manufacturers and say, whatever you can do for me, just
give me more. Kind of a hybrid position player glove with a catcher's mitt.
I say that 12-inch rule doesn't apply to first basemen and catchers. They have their own specifications.
Two and two on right. Little pop up, and Castro makes a catch. I think Barney was thinking about letting that ball drop and trying to turn a double play. And then Castro streaked in front of him. Yeah, I think he's telling him, hey, I was going to let it bounce. Although it might have actually hit the bag if it had bounced. I think that's what Starlin may be saying.
That's the downside of this. He's got some funky spin, but you can see what Darwin's thinking. You know, Valdez been over there on first base. He's got to be careful not to stray too far off.
It was behind the bag, but yeah, it looked like Barney was going to let it drop.
He was going to try to play it on a short hop.
Davis has struck out looking and hit into a double play. He just looks lost right now. It's a first pitch of the at bat and a half swing for a strike.
I'm guessing Dale Swain was just glad that Castro caught the ball. So get
Just
too
get
fancy
out
here, fellas.
But as a former middle infielder, I'm sure he does appreciate at least the fact that Barney could see the wheels were spinning up there.
You like players that are always thinking.
Had it go under his glove, and Davis with a base hit, and Valdespin now at third. They're at the corners with 2 outs.
Davis able to break that long 0 for streak. Interesting that Terry Collins has continued to bat him in the cleanup spot despite the terrible slump. This time it pays off. Running fastball down below the knees. He whacks it right back through the middle.
That snaps an 0 for 24 for Davis. I mentioned Duda earlier. He has seen almost 4.5 pitches per plate appearance, second in the majors. He takes 2 of every 3 pitches he sees.
He almost always takes the first one. This would be a good time to change it up, though, if you're Duda. Edwin Jackson was thinking along the same lines. Didn't want to channel a fastball there with a go-ahead run on third base. Tried a little get-over backdoor slider and just missed.
Mets came in at 15 and 23. 4th place in the East, 6 games out. Cubs 17 and 23, but 9 back because the Cardinals had the best record in the league.
Cubs have moved ahead of Milwaukee by half a game in the Central.
Brewers just lost 3 of 4 in Pittsburgh. It'll be all right. Hit hard, and Barney will get Duda to end the inning. A walk, a single, but no runs. The Mets strand a couple. We go to the bottom of the 6th, still tied at 2. A mid-May weekend in Chicago. Let's first look at hard-throwing right-hander Matt Harvey. It's a 2-2 tie. And Starlin Castro already has 2 hits. We'll dig in.
A slider first time up for a single to the left and fought off an 0-2 fastball up and in for a little flare base hit to right in the 3rd. He tries to go outside with a changeup.
Two 2-0 the count. Sad news earlier this week. Longtime Royals broadcaster Fred White passed away at age 76. Complications from melanoma. But, what a great way to honor him. Their TV broadcast Wednesday night, they had a silent half inning in the top of the 1st to honor Fred White. Down by Davis. Harvey covering first. It'll go 3-1.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. He was associated with the Royals for 40 years. Here's Rizzo, 1 out of 2. Wind still blowing in. Cool afternoon here at the ballpark, and a strike called. The son of Nolan Ryan, Reed Ryan, is the new president of the Houston Astros. That was announced officially today. What do you know about Reed Ryan? 41 years old.
He's sharp guy, very talented. He's been involved with Ryan Sanders Baseball. They own AA and AAA clubs in Round Rock, Texas, and Corpus Christi. Round Rock currently the AAA team of the Rangers, Corpus the AA team of the Astros, and Reed's been kind of the point man running that operation now for a while. Imagine he'll do a real good job.
So changes continue in Houston.
Well, there's a lot of speculation would Nolan Ryan take that job. But this job is, it's the business side. I think Nolan has more interest in being involved on the baseball side. And I don't think that was going to be the case in Houston.
Softly hit on the ground right to Davis. And 2 outs.
Has a lot of confidence in Jeff Luhnow, the general manager, who's running the baseball operation over there. Harvey's string of striking out the 3rd out in the inning ended last frame. He's been very efficient here. He's not allowed a base runner since that little flare single by Castro in the 3rd.
Now he has regularly gone over 100 pitches. The most he's thrown 121. 3 starts ago. One of the big stories today in Arlington, Texas, is the fact that Darvish threw 130 last night against Detroit. So Ron Washington had to answer some questions about that. Now 2 starts before that he threw 127. Soriano drills it to deep left. Foul, just foul. There's not much foul ground in that corner. They tucked up against the wall.
First hit it, I thought he had himself a home run, but a little too much hook, a little bit too much top spin, keeping the ball in the ballpark and ultimately bending it foul off the wall.
It's somewhat of an easy call down there. Basically, if it hits the ground first, there's a very good chance it's going to be fair. You have just a few inches there when you get right near that line.
Especially get to the corner.
1-2.
I'm surprised by the mix we've seen from Harvey here today. This is the first time I've really watched him pitch, and I expected to see a bunch of fastballs and hard sliders, but he's done a lot of changeups. He's mixed his curveball in. I was surprised to see Darvish in the game as late as he was, given that it was a fairly lopsided game.
Swung on and missed, so he does it again. 5 strikeouts, all to end an inning. So we'll head off to the 7th, still tied at 2-2. Right off of JD's iPod. Feel this moment. Pitbull and Christina Aguilera. Cubs baseball brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Henry Melton, defensive tackle for your Chicago Bears, is with us in the booth getting ready to conduct the 7th inning stretch. Henry, welcome to Wrigley.
Hey, good to be here.
Nice day at the ballpark.
It is.
As John Buck sends one to deep right, and it'll be Nate Sherholtz right in front of 368.
With a good swing on it. Hang with him.
So we've got a Chicago Bear with a Cubs jersey on and a Blackhawks cap. So
represent.
Yes.
Yeah. I just.
You're not wearing Bulls boxer shorts, are you?
The shoes kind of got some Bulls colors going on.
Yeah, I got everything going, except for I don't have anything Bears on me, except myself.
Well, yeah, you are a Bear, so that works.
Yeah,
that works.
I got a beard. Does that count?
That's deep to right again. This time, Rick Ankiel.
Oh.
And Sherholtz can't make the play. Ankiel will end up at second with a double.
Now, does that hurt?
Very aggressive.
Does that hurt?
Running into the wall?
Yeah.
Yes. Nothing but brick behind the vines.
Ankiel, he's always been able to hit a fastball. He's a free swinger. You can get him to chase a lot of pitches out of the zone, but that clearly was in his wheelhouse. Navigate that little corner there in the well in right field. Appeared to lose sight of that ball a little bit. Looked like he was there.
The Mets have the go-ahead run in scoring position. So you've been able to relax a little bit after your Pro Bowl season?
Yeah, I mean we just got back into the swing of things. We're in OTAs right now. Yeah, it's fun. We got a lot of new faces around there.
New coach. Pitch to Tejada inside.
Well, Darwin Barney, Cubs second baseman, was a shortstop coming up through the minor leagues, made the move to second base, which is a completely understandable move. I was reading about you. You were a running back at UT before becoming a defensive tackle. Is that accurate?
This is true. I actually was a running back, then moved to.
Who does that?
I don't know.
Nobody does that. Nobody goes from a running back to a defensive tackle or a defensive end.
Yeah, I just ate too much.
You must just run over people when you were carrying the ball.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So do you have an advantage being a tackle, knowing the mindset of a running back, since you were one?
Yeah, I mean, it just helps with knowing, what kind of plays are coming at you. Because you know how the offensive line is, they're trying to block and try to get to you, and you know which way the running back's trying to go.
Plus, if you recover a fumble, you break out those little running back skills.
I know, I'm trying to.
You had a chance yet?
Gosh, I want one so bad. I just want to just stiff arm everybody, just run over everybody, just
kind of Heisman thing.
Go back to the glory days for a minute.
1-2 on Tejada. Harvey is on deck. Nobody up currently in the Mets bullpen. And now Castillo will head on out to the mound. So still a ways away from training camp, but what would you say a big key to this upcoming season will be for your defense?
I don't know. You gotta see how these new pieces fit, and we're trying to mesh them right now, trying to get that team chemistry going, and try to feed off of what we did last year.
Do you need somebody to step into that leadership void with Brian Urlacher gone?
Yeah, right now we're all trying to fill it in right now. It's not just going to be one guy stepping in there. It's going to have to be a whole, team, especially on the defensive effort.
A lot of strikes today from Jackson. Only one walk. That was in the 6th.
Almost came back to bite him, but he was able to get Duda to finish off that inning.
Y'all standing the whole time?
Only when we have company.
Oh, okay.
And big moments, too. You know, you get all fired up and stand up.
These windows are always open, too?
They're open. Yep, yes.
Ooh. I know you had some chilly games,
We
too.
had some very chilly days early on.
Yeah.
Now, remind me, do you go bare arms? I mean, or you do the long sleeves when it's, 15 degrees?
No. You can't wear sleeves. No way.
Just football players, no sleeves.
You can't. Even though we're cold.
2-2 in the dirt, now 3-2. So you are cold.
This is true.
You just
Very
block
cold.
it out? You don't think about it?
No, you can't. Once your blood starts pumping, you get some adrenaline, you forget about it, then the play stops and you're like, whoa. It's cold.
Now you have the heated bench, but that only helps so much.
No, it doesn't do anything. And sometimes the bench it's too hot. If that even makes sense.
Right. No, you
Like
don't want to go
burns
from
your-
one extreme to the other.
Exactly.
Well, you know about the weather conditions on the lake. Actually, Soldier Field closer to the lake than we are here at Wrigley, even though we're affected a lot by the lake breeze.
Mm-hmm. You see the water from here.
It's a beautiful day. 3-2 hit in the air to left. Soriano with the flip downs now has to race in with that wind we were talking about. He makes a catch for out number 2. All right, well, have fun with the stretch today, Henry. You'll have about 40,000 fans helping you out. But great to meet you, and have a great 2013 season. All right.
Appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Henry Melton, the Chicago Bears, coming up with our 7th inning stretch. Harvey's going to take the at bat with 2 outs in a tie game.
Yeah, well, he's the best thing the Mets have going right now, and their bullpen has had some struggles. If they were down a run, they would hit for him here in this situation. I'm about 99.9% convinced that would be the case, but in a tie game, he's going to let Harvey stay in. Harvey, as you mentioned last time he was up, he swings the bat pretty well. He was 6 out of 18 last year, so he's not an automatic out.
And Keel at second, 2 outs. The pitch, big swing and a miss. Bail and whale action there from Harvey. He's trying to hit that one onto Waveland.
My guess is that Terry Collins is thinking he can get 2 more innings out of Harvey here this afternoon. If it was just 1 more, then he probably would hit for him.
Well, when you're catching Edwin Jackson, at least this year we've found, you better be ready to block a lot of sliders in the dirt.
And occasionally fastballs. Every once in a while, just a fastball will get away from him and he'll spike it way out in front of home plate. Those are the ones that are really tough to control for a catcher. If it bounces in close to you, it's fairly easy to knock that down, keep it in front.
Base hit in the left. Ankiel's going to be sent by Tuffle. Here's a throw by Soriano, and it is offline. Harvey's going to be able to advance as the throw got past Castillo, and it's now 3-2 Mets.
We talked about Harvey's ability. He takes his fastball riding in on him, hits it to left field. And Soriano's throw is off the line. Castillo can't handle it. Jackson's got to be backing up. Edwin Jackson is standing at home plate as opposed to being behind home plate, positioning himself to handle that a possible errant throw and keep that batter runner out of scoring position.
So that will be it for Jackson. James Russell called upon with back-to-back lefties coming up. So the Mets have their second lead today. It is 3-2 New York. A Cubs 6 2/3. The bad news, he leaves trailing 3-2 as Matt Harvey picked up the go-ahead RBI single. So now it's James Russell's turn, and he will face a former teammate. Ex-Cub Marlon Byrd will hit for Valdespin. Little woozy.
I'm on the tilt-a-whirl.
Pitch to Byrd is high for a ball. Byrd traded last year from the Cubs to the Red Sox in the Michael Bowden deal.
271 this year, part-time play. Lately he's been good. 6 out of his last 14. He's hitting .348 with runners in scoring position.
After Marlin was released by Boston last year, he was suspended for 50 games for violating Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing drug policy. Signed a minor league contract with the Mets, and here he is pinch hitting in the 7th, and he's way out in front of that one and lines it foul. As a Cub, he was an All-Star in 2010. With 52 games that year, hit .293. That's low. 2-1. Swing and a miss. Levels the count at 2-2.
Not where he wanted to throw that changeup, but such a good pitch that he sells it. There's a lot of bad swings even when he elevates it.
Give Marlin credit. He played winter ball for the first time in his career, trying to get back into big league baseball. He played in Mexico and hit .318. Up in the air to left, Soriano battling the elements, and he makes a catch. Henry Melton with our 7th inning stretch.
Guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Bears Pro Bowl defensive tackle Henry Melton.
All right, Cubs fans, let me hear you. Come on. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back, for it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
lot of center here at Wrigley Field, but very much used to the elements. So Harvey now with a 3-2 lead, trying to get his first win since April 19th. And he'll face Sherholtz, Valbuena, and Castillo. And I'll tell you, on a scale of 1 to 10, I will give Henry Melton a 10.
A 10? Wow.
That was a terrific rendition of the 7th inning stretch. That was good. You can't do any better than that. He gave a big when he finished. There's the 0-1, and it's a ball, 1-1. Kyuji Fujikawa getting loose. You can't say the Cubs didn't take advantage of their opportunity. They got 2 runs on 1 play in the first. The bad part is that's really the only opportunity they've had against Harvey. Only 1 base runner since the first inning. That was a single by Castro. It's Tejada moving to his glove side to get Sherholtz.
He's pretty solid out there, Tejada. 6 errors. Most of them came early. He's played errorless baseball the last 25 games.
Curve for a strike. Curve in the dirt. Lofted out toward Duda, still going. Warning track, he's got it. Let's step aside briefly and find out what's coming up on WGN. Two quick outs. And it's Wellington Castillo.
I like the aggressive swing there. A lot of times we talked about it earlier. You don't want to give that opposing pitcher a quick inning, but you're at the stage of the ball game now. You're down a run in the 7th inning. You're not so much worried about building anybody's pitch count. You're just trying to beat somebody, and you're ready to hit that fastball. Castillo was. He didn't get it, but a good aggressive swing.
Changeup at 88. Here comes his 1-1. Curveball at 83. So 3 pitches in this at bat. Castillo's seen everything but the slider. Harvey has been anything but predictable this afternoon. Got him on a slider at 92. Wow. They will bat in the 8th inning. Cubs won 2 of 3 against the Rockies. Starting a new series here today. James Russell, who got the final out of the 7th, will face Daniel Murphy to begin the 8th.
As we mentioned earlier, on paper, this looked like it would be the most difficult matchup of the weekend set. With Harvey going for the Mets, who's been as good as anybody in baseball so far this year. Pitching matchups for Saturday and Sunday more Cub favorable.
Fouled off by Murphy.
Somebody made a play.
One-handed grab at that.
Murphy hit his home run to left field. Last time he hit the ball fairly well towards left center, so not a bad idea to crowd him.
So Matt Harvey now has sent down 14 in a row and 20 of 21 since the Soriano RBI hit, on which the Cubs got both of their runs in the first inning. And he has a go-ahead RBI single. Other than that, he's just been okay.
Gary Collins left him in the ballgame to take that at bat in the 7th, and it's paid off doubly. 1 with the RBI single, and 2, he continues to pitch outstanding baseball. And you know, the innings he's had since then. I mean, he worked pretty hard there in that first inning, but since then he's been awfully clean. Base runner and a lot of just quick outs. Boom, boom, boom.
Fujikawa's ready. Give it right on deck, although lefty's after him. Swing and a miss. Strike 3.
James, any pitch, any count. Russell. The slide ball. Murphy pulling off there, probably because of the inside fastball earlier. They're going to try to come in on me again. I'm going to hit it into the seats. Wrong.
Edwin Jackson, again a season high 6 2/3, 7 hits, 3 runs. Hoping now to get a no decision. The Cubs can come back late.
Edwin 0-3 here at Wrigley this year with an ERA of 9 prior to today. He won't win, but it's a very competitive ball game. As a visiting player, he did not have a lot of success in this ballpark.
Can't pick it up. He knew he had to hurry. He had to kind of rush everything with Wright hustling down the line, and he couldn't get it. It'll be the 3rd hit of the day for Wright.
Just trying to sweep that one as he charges it, and then in one motion gather it and make the throw. And obviously never had the chance to do that because he wasn't able to pick it. Very difficult chance. Ruled the base hit.
Ike Davis after snapping the 0 for 24 in his last at bat. Swings and misses. Full slate of games later on tonight. Good matchup of lefties in Philadelphia. Tony Cingrani against Cliff Lee, each with a sub-3 ERA.
Reds have won 6 in a row. Trail the Cardinals by a game and a half. He's kind of just limping along. 500 baseball the last 10.
Right runs, Davis whiffs, and right is in. 2 strikes now on Davis.
Nine out of 10 now is David Wright. Not a real big lead, but a very aggressive first move jump.
He's sneaky. He's got now 175 career stolen bases. And when he runs, he's usually successful. Well, last year struggled 15 out of 25. Not a great percentage. Davis grounds out to Barney. Right now to third, and he tweaks something coming around the bag. Not sure what happened there.
Roll the ankle a little bit, maybe. You can see that when runners are going into a base and they're looking back over their shoulder to see how the play is developing behind them, and they hit the bag awkwardly.
Duda decided to go after that first one and missed it. The Astros play in a National League park for the first time since moving to the AL West. They're at Pittsburgh tonight. Jordan Lyles and Genmar Gomez the matchup. Pirates at 24-17. They've won 3 straight. Hyunjin Ryu and Paul Mahalam, another good southpaw battle tonight. Dodgers and the Braves from Atlanta. Ryu at 4-2 with a 340. Mahalam 4-4 with a 394. He has gotten off to a pretty decent start for the Braves. Russell strikes out Duda with a runner at third. It's still 3-2 Mets. inside Wrigley Field today. The Mets with a 3-2 lead. The Cubs will bat in the 8th, and Matt Harvey with 103 pitches through 7. Still working, hasn't walked anybody, and has struck out 6.
Pitch count not much of an issue for him. He's got 6 outs to go to finish this ball game. Whether he gets the chance or not to do that remains to be seen, but he's certainly well set up to do it. He's had very few pitches made under duress here this afternoon. After that first inning, it's been smooth sailing for the young right-hander. Burke and Rice. Rice the lefty, Burke the sidewinder.
I think I saw Scott Rice is on pace for 100 appearances. He's making up for lost time. 14 years in the minors before making his big league debut this season. Darwin Barney checks his swing and just lofts one out into shallow center for a base hit. Oops.
Just a little 3/4 punch shot there.
Kevin Gregg, or as Sean Camp has been calling him, Kevin Gregg Maddox. He's been painting.
He has been.
So it's a pinch hitter, Bourbon, right already in at third. Bourbon shows bunt and looks at ball 1. Tying run at first here in the 8th.
I think Barney there, he just decided to take one more club and swing easy. He was just trying to control his ball flight, and it worked out well for him. Once in order, got to make sure you get a strike.
He does. Harvey's going to pick it up and the throw to first in time. Good job by Bourbon.
Well, you know, a good bunter, and with that kind of speed, he makes, you know, what should be a routine play anything but. He really gets down that line. Harvey, you just feel the sense of urgency in him as he went after that ball. Well, that answers the will Matt Harvey get a chance to finish this ball game question.
So that's it for Matt Harvey. He'll lead with a 3-2 advantage, but the tying run is at second. Mets' 39th game. This is his 24th appearance. That's a busy reliever.
He said making up for last time. A long minor league career that began back in 1999. A member of the Orioles organization.
So Harvey will just sit and watch. Cubs with a couple of shots here, starting with De Jesus. Scott Rice spent part of spring training with the Cubs 2 years ago. So the Cubs run expectancy in this spot below league average, but the Mets pitching staff has allowed above league average. Outside for a ball.
There's a lot of sliders. Not a hard thrower, fastball. An upper 80s type guy.
Two and 0 on De Jesus. Rice 6'6", 220. Now 3 and 0.
At bat so far for David against left-handed pitching. Hit 133 against them.
Starlin has really struggled against lefties early on. 3 and 1. Those numbers are getting a little better. Three-1 to Jesus. He pounds it on the ground foul. Anthony Rizzo in the hole, watching from that top step. Rice back in it, 3 and 2.
Not too much time. Jesus wants to step out and reset back through his 3-pitch routine. With 4 consecutive no decisions, you cannot lose this game. It's a tying run out there in scoring position.
A kick in the 3-2 and a base hit to the right. Barney's going to be sent. Here's a throw by Marlon Byrd out at the plate. 2 down. De Jesus now at second. Like he was looking at Marlon Byrd saying, "What are you doing to me?" That'll be it for Rice with Castro coming up.
Pretty aggressive send here by David Bell. De Jesus hits this ball sharply to right field, and they're going to test the arm of Marlon Byrd, and he comes up a winner this time, throwing a strike on the fly to home plate, and nowhere for Darwin Barney to go there.
So another pitching change. Byrd with a huge defensive play in this game. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. And we'll be back. Castro with tying run at second. It's now DeJesus after Barney was gunned down at the plate.
Burke going one with a 5.59. This bullpen overall has really struggled for the Mets this year. More of a journeyman type guy. David DeJesus giving Marlon Byrd the business out there. Taking away his game tying RBI.
In there for a strike. Burt recalled from AAA Las Vegas on May 12th.
Big league time with the Padres back in 2009. Spending a number of years in their organization. Also spent time with the Orioles at AA and AAA.
Burt did make their opening day roster but struggled before getting sent out on April 18th. It's a sign from his catcher, John Buck. And the pitch called strike 2. Ground ball to third. And Wright will throw to first in time. So the Cubs stay off the board in the 8th and trail 3-2. To you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer or go to shophonda.com for current offers. And by AT&T. Find out what's possible with products and services from AT&T. Rethink possible. Right-hander Kyuji Fujikawa, who was activated from the DL 1 week ago today. He's not given up a run since coming off the DL. He was on with a right forearm muscle strain. Try to keep the Mets at 3.
Worked twice in the series last weekend in Washington and then once in the Rockies series. He's had a few days off. Fastball splitter primarily. He'll throw the occasional cutter and curveball.
Huge play in this game by former Cub Marlon Byrd. Dirt.
Let's have 3, 4, 5 due up in the bottom of the 9th. Rizzo, Soriano, Shearholtz. They'll be scheduled.
That's closers Bobby Parnell. Swung on and missed 2-2. Good. Heat 93.
Good. Talk about that late life on a four-seam fastball. It's a good example of it there. This ball jumping in the strike zone. Whoop. On a little more that time.
There's Parnell with Ricky Bonas, bullpen coach.
A fairly detailed report on the upcoming Cub hitters, it appears.
Swing and a miss on the fastball. One away.
That's a sign of a live arm there when you get swings and misses with the fastball in the strike zone. It's one thing to get a guy to chase your breaking ball out of the zone, but when you can throw a fastball out over the plate and just throw it by guys, it's a plus fastball.
Rick Ankiel, ball 1. Brewers are in St. Louis tonight. Willie Peralta, Jaime Garcia. Cardinals 12-7 at home. Garcia looks for his 5th win. A high pop up. A late recognition of where it was, and it's dropped. Rizzo and Castillo got a late break on it, and Willie took the worst of that collision.
It's just so difficult in this ballpark with the wind blowing and a day game. It's tough to take your eye off the ball, find your teammate, and then find the ball again. So neither guy is looking out for the other. They're both trying to track the ball. Castillo calling Rizzo as well. And unfortunate there. Ideally, you'd like to have Wellington back off and just let Rizzo handle it. Easier play for him to make. To charge Rizzo and Aaron. This is what we talked about the other day, and what you would do if you were a commissioner. This would be the time for the team error.
Yeah. Ball's got to be caught, but hard to blame one guy for that.
You could give half errors like they do with sacks.
Right. Swing and a miss.
You could argue that ball that's in the air that long, if you're Wellington, you should be able to kind of make the determination. All right, Rizzo's going to be there. I should find him and back off. But It's the last thing you want to do is make an assumption in this game, back off and have the ball drop because the other guy's not there to make a play.
Ankiel strikes out. Castillo and Rizzo will team up to complete it.
That's the point that Dale Swem has made quite often already this year. So we haven't been able to make the pitch after an error, after a miscue. Just go ahead, pick up your teammates, and Fujikawa doing a nice job there, taking care of Ankiel by himself.
Tejada's flied out all 3 times. His first career homer came here at Wrigley back in 2010. Knocked in 5 runs that day. Barney will make the catch. 1, 2, 3 go the Mets. Last chance for the Cubs, trailing by a run. Harvey's RBI single in the 7th. Mike Baxter comes into play left, double switch. Hard throwing right-hander Bobby Parnell will try to pick up his 5th save. Pretty much his fastball curveball this year from Parnell. Ball, or strike one rather, on Rizzo.
Rush that fastball up there in the mid-upper 90s. Commit with that breaking ball, left it well off the plate. Anthony 1 out of 1 in his career off of Parnell. Stay away from his power, but Rizzo drives the ball to left field quite well.
Francisco starting the year on the DL with elbow inflammation. Parnell in that 9th inning spot. 3-1 with Soriano on deck. The pitch, good swing, he fouled it off. Now Parnell has kept the ball in the ballpark. The Mets bullpen as a whole has not. A note, tied for second in the majors with 17 homers allowed, the Mets bullpen. So I looked up who was first. 3-2. Rizzo high in the air. Marlon Byrd's going to have room. In right center. One away. The Houston Astros bullpen has allowed 29 home runs. Yikes.
Yeah, well, the situation over there where, no phase of the game is going well. These guys can't point the finger at each other in the clubhouse. Everybody's having their struggles.
Colin McHugh. McHugh just getting his throwing in. Soriano 1 for 3 with an RBI. Ball one.
Last year, Parnell allowed 4 home runs in 68 innings. That's one every 17 innings, right? He's thrown 17 and 2/3 innings. You could argue that he's due to give one up here.
I like the way you're thinking.
We believe in the math.
This would seem to be the Cubs' best shot at a game-tying home run. And instead, it's a bouncer to right. He backs up. Gets Soriano 2 down. Up to Scherholtz. But right, well decorated, including 2 Gold Gloves in his career. Six for ball one.
Time to pull out the driver, Nate. Don't worry about missing the fairway.
Deep breath by Parnell. Here it is. Well located for strike one.
Cheese at the knees at 97. Rally caps are on. Another one.
Hefner and Feldman tomorrow. G and Wood on WGN Sunday.
And to put the driver back in the bag and pull out the hybrid. Keep it in play. No doubles. Alignment in the outfield. Very deep.
Taking it to the limit. 3-2.
See the Mets outfielders just a couple of steps in front of the warning track.
Left field, Baxter will make the grab on the move, and the Mets take game one. Matt Harvey gets the win. He had the game-winning hit, in fact. And as we take a look at our Budweiser play of the game, talked so much about Harvey on the mound, but it was his bat that ended up winning the game.
Yeah, we talked in the pregame about Samardzija hitting the home run, pitching so well the other day. Now Harvey comes back and does it with his arm and his bat as well.
He certainly came as advertised today as the Mets win 3-2 the final.